Right, so let's go, what are we going to do next? I mean, a real sense of practical, we've got to do something, which is presumably why it's a manifesto. I mean, you actually want people to think about how we're going to make change happen by including all kinds of other people that normally get left out of the debate totally.
The key bit was when I was doing my tour last year, I would ask people who voted last year, and lots of people would put their hands up, and then I'd say, and who read the manifesto of the party they voted for, and everyone would put their hands down. I was like, okay, well, that's the key then. We need to start talking about manifestos. We need to read them, and we need to start writing them. Because one of the key things that I believe is everyone has got one idea, however tiny, that would make the world a better place. It could be something ridiculous, like the best way to wash socks, and then that would be the standard way to wash socks. Actually, I know the best way to wash tights. Women, never put your tights in a washing machine. It will shatter the lycra. Simply, when you're washing your hair in the shower, just wash them there with shampoo and leave them over the radiator to dry. You're welcome.
All the way through the book, the idea of including people who are not normally included is over and over again. Your book seems to say what we must do is get new ideas, fresh ideas, new gene pool, bigger gene pool, etc., etc. What's your practical steps for achieving that?
You know, I've talked about this before, but we see this in feminism or anybody who wants to change things. We keep waiting for sort of someone who comes along who's completely perfect and knows everything, like some kind of feminist Jesus or some socialist Jesus or some Tory Jesus. That will never happen. Like that's literally everybody can just sit here and wait for that for the rest of our lives. That won't happen. That's not how feminism changes things. That's not how any activism changes things. What you're looking at instead is a patchwork quilt. Everybody does their little bit. You know your bit that you're really good at and that you feel confident about, and you sew that little square, and then the person next to you sews their little square about what they know and what they feel confident about, and gradually we make a patchwork quilt of change. And that's called a movement. That's how we change things. This is how we form new political parties. But we've kind of come down to this sort of Hollywood narrative of, no, just one charismatic leader will come along and change everything. I don't like that kind of politics. I like communal effort. So it's about changing making people want to go into politics and making everyone feel that they could go into politics. And the first way you do that is through cultural change. And to be very simple and blunt about it, you write a funny book. And you hope people will talk about it and want to do what you're trying to do, which is start talking about the policies, start talking about the ideas that you've got, start talking about how we need to come up with a system where ideas can filter from the bottom, from the populace up, rather than the other way that we have it at the moment, that when something is in trouble, we bring in consultants who've worked in other businesses and other companies that have nothing to do with the problem that the government are bringing them on for, and then they come up with ideas and filter them down. That seems like a completely arse-about-tit way of doing it. Because again, you're looking at 20 people coming in and solving the problems of millions, rather than millions of people coming along and solving the problems of 20 people who are running, for instance, the NHS.
And actually, one of the really exciting things that's happened in the last few years about feminism is that that there are a group of people tackling FGM, there are a group of people tackling assault and rape, there are another group of people looking at LGBT rights, there are another group of people talking about intersectionality, and if you like, everybody's getting on with it in little squares. Yes. And the main thing is that we have to recognise the fact that we're all holding each other's hands and trusting each other to get on with that bit. And there's a great chapter in the book about the fact that we lay so much store on individual women, and they have to be perfect feminisms, and they can never screw up. And if they do, they splat. All their heroism is blown out the door. And it's too much to ask of any woman that she does everything right all the time.
Totally. Well, I mean, it's not just women. And again, you see, anyone who comes from any ethnic minority, or sort of high-profile gay appointments in Parliament or in businesses and stuff. It's kind of ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta. We've got a woman or someone of colour or a gay who's taken this kind of, this pioneering new role. It's all eyes on them. And then as soon as they make one mistake, it's like, oh, we knew it. We knew we couldn't trust them. Bring the straight white guys back on. And that's exhausting. And the other problem is that you see, it's a big problem of the left generally, and kind of, people who want to be socially progressive and stuff, that we do often, we fight amongst each other, and which is, a good thing. It's because we're all trying to work out what the best thing is. But sometimes these things get so heated and we end up tearing each other down. And I've seen women time and time again tearing other women down. And it's like, we can't build anything on rubble. What kind of women are going to, put themselves forward as leaders if they know that they're faced with so much criticism from their own kind? Every time they put themselves forward into these positions of responsibility. And, one of my key rules is if you see someone doing something that you don't agree with, don't criticize them. Just go away and do something else. Do your alternative. Let them get on with what they're doing. Let them absolutely get on with what they're doing. And then you create an alternative over here. And then suddenly we've got twice as much choice. Immediately things are better. No one's been traumatized. No one's upset. Feminism hasn't been besmirched. There's no kind of, there's another cat fight. Everybody's getting on with each other, and suddenly we've got twice the amount of choices that we had before. And I think that's one of the key things if we really do want to change things. Whenever we have a disagreement with someone else, I think the thing to do is to just don't say anything unless you've got something polite to say. Just go away and create an alternative. And also, then you start having respect for people who do go out there and do these things. You realise how difficult it is for, I've gone there, I've sat there, in my younger years and criticised people, just kind of like, why wasn't she perfect? It's like, it's hard to do a thing. But also hard work is brilliant, And when you start running a campaign, when you start trying to do something, you realise how much time and effort and heart is involved in it. Then you start treating other people who are out there doing these things with an enormous amount of respect. Even people in political parties that I can't stand, when I can see them going in there and trying to change things, I have an enormous amount of respect for them because I know how exhausting that is, how much of your heart you have to put into these things. And it's just that little bit of respect that means that we're not all just fighting, and it's not kind of like, Tory scum must die. Fuck you, you peasants. And we all just talk about these things nicely instead. Basically, as a mum, I'm saying, play nicely. If you start looking at, feminism has made incredible bounds. We live in an amazing time. But if you look at the reason why we might not have progress as rapidly as we need to, and a lot of it is because women are so exhausted. There are so many things that we have to do that people won't. Actually, this would lead me into my next reading. I might go into that because then I wrote a column recently about there being two things about women that men might not understand, and this got a huge response when I wrote it. And I think this. If you want to know why it is that we might not have had the revolution as quickly as we need to, the two things that men need to know about women would be it. So, here are the two big things that men truly don't understand about women. The two things that, if you knew them, if you truly understood, they would change the way that you act and raise your sons to act overnight. The first is, we are scared of you. Not all of you, probably not most of you. We feel safe with our fathers, unless we have been unlucky, and our husbands, unless we have been unlucky, and our friends and our brothers, unless, again, we have been unlucky. But we are scared. We are scared of what you can do. Try to imagine for a moment what it's like to live on a planet where half the people on it are just bigger than you. We are smaller and softer, and we cannot run as fast as men. We know that you can grab us, and we would struggle to get away. We know that if you hit us, we'll go down. We know that if you decide to kill us, there's not much we can do. Every time the murder of a woman is reported on the news, we hear the detail. Traces of skin were found under her fingernails, denoting a struggle. And we know that's all we can do. Scratch. We think about that more than we would ever admit to you. We don't want to sound insecure or morbid around you. We just walk down every dark street with our keys between our fingers, going, please, not tonight. Let me get to my door tonight. Sometimes, when you think about the stats on sexual assault, 90% of women know their attackers. 1 in 5 women have been or will be attacked. It feels like a fact too awful to be acknowledged. 1 in 5, man. 1 in 5. If those are your odds on the lottery, you would already have preemptively bought your Porsche. 1 in 5 means you often look around a room of your girlfriends and think, which one of us will it be? If your teenage daughters are in the room, with their big, smiling faces and their awkward, beautiful, perfect trust in the world, you feel so panicked that you go into the kitchen and hold on to the sink. There you are. You're scared again, but you don't go on about it to the men you know, because that would be morbid. So men don't know how scared we are. That's the first big thing you don't know about us. How scared we are. And the second big thing you don't know about us is that we're exhausted. So exhausted. We have less money than you. The pay gap, illegal since 1970, yet still astonishingly here, means we effectively work for free for 57 days of the year. That's exhausting. We must have babies quickly before our eggs die, but also while we work. That's exhausting. And since we were teenage girls, since the moment we went mortified to buy that first bra and left the safe unisex world of childhood to become a woman, we have been judged and commented on. Catcalls in the street, relatives saying we're too thin or too fat, comments in yearbooks or on Facebook, hairdressers saying, you have a mannish jaw. In fairness, she had a big nose, and I told her that. Uncles at weddings and bosses at parties and friends of friends, rating you to your face, saying if they would or wouldn't, scoring you out of 10 as if you're a gadget for sale on Amazon or livestock at a fair. People touching you, evaluating you, and owning you, until you find yourself saying, almost as a recurring mantra in your head, fuck off, stop talking about me, fuck off, and stop being the voice in my head. Stop telling me you have decided my worth. So those are the two things that men need to know about women. We're scared and we're tired. Very scared and very tired.
Okay, just being a mum, you wrote a wonderful, funny, you're always funny, but you wrote a wonderful, funny letter to your daughter, basically saying, when I've killed myself from smoking too much and I'm dead, these are the things I want you to think about, and these are the things I want you to know. And but you wrote another kind of longer version of that, really, just kind of advice to teenage girls that I want you to read, perhaps.
Here is a promise and a fact. You will never in your life ever have to deal with anything more than the next minute. However much it feels like you are approaching an event, an exam, a conversation, a decision, a kiss, where, if you screw it up, the entire future will just burn to hell in front of you and your life will be ruined, you are not. That will never happen. That is not what happens. The minutes always come one at a time, inside hours that come one at a time, inside days that come one at a time, all orderly strung like pearls on a necklace, strung in a graceful line. You will never, ever have to deal with more than the next 60 seconds. Do the calm, right thing that needs to be done in that 1 minute. Do the work, or the breathing, or the smile, because you can do that for just 1 minute. And if you can do 1 minute, you can do the next. Pretend that you are your own baby. You would never cut that baby, or starve it, or overfeed it until it cried in pain, or tell it it was worthless. Sometimes girls have to be mothers to themselves. Your body wants to live. That's all and everything it was born to do. Let it do that in the safety you provide it. Protect it. That's your biggest job, to protect your skin and your heart. Buy flowers, or if you are poor, steal some from someone's garden. Because the world owes you that much, at least. Blossom. And put them on the end of your bed. When you wake, look at them and tell yourself that you are the kind of person who wakes up and sees flowers, because that stops your first thought being, I fear today. Today is the day that maybe I cannot survive anymore, which is what I know you might otherwise think. Thinking about blossom before you think about terror is what girls must always do in the bad years. And the most important thing, it is to know that you were not born like this. You were not born scared and self-loathing and overwhelmed. Things have been done, which means things can be undone. It is hard work, but you are not scared of hard work compared to everything else you have had to deal with. Because what you must do right now and for the rest of your life is learn how to build a girl. You.